This video will provide a comprehensive guide to how crafting works in Last Epoch. I've broken this video up into chapters, so if you know the basics, you can jump ahead, as I'll initially be breaking down item types and the differences between implicits and the two types of affixes. Items in Last Epoch drop in different rarities, each with implicit modifiers, alongside suffixes and prefixes, largely referred to under the umbrella term affixes, which appear on items as you increase in rarity. Your base items will also come with what's called forging potential, which places a limit on how much you can craft on an item, indicated by this number. This system is heavily RNG dependent, which means there is a significant portion of crafting which comes down to luck, and you can potentially make a mid-tier item into something amazing, or land at just a minor upgrade. When crafting, you'll need to assess the risks of losing the item, as some crafting options make significant risky changes, while minor crafts won't risk your item becoming useless. We'll break that down later when we discuss glyphs and ruins. So what kind of items can drop? Your item rarities are normal, magic, rare, exalted, unique, set, and legendary, differentiated in-game by the colours you see here. Items have types which you can see here. For example, this item will always drop with these same implicit modifiers, and these will remain the same for all items of the same type, but different boot styles can drop with differing implicit modifiers. For example, while this ring has minion damage, a ring of a different type may have modifiers relating to dodge or other mechanics in the game. These implicit modifiers do not change, and every ring of this type will have the same modifier, which will always be located at the top near the item name. These modifiers will have a range, which you can see by pressing Alt. These ranges are randomly generated between the minimum and maximum values seen here. Items above normal rarity will drop with additional affixes, which are random in nature. Your general items, magic, rare, and exalted, can only drop with 4 total affixes, and some item types can only roll certain affixes. Affixes are split into 2 categories: your suffixes, which generally provide you with more protection or utility, like more health, resistances, or stun avoidance, and your prefixes, which are more offensive in nature, improving your damage or critical strike chance. Affixes on items are rolled randomly when the item drops, and if you press Alt, you can see the number range that is possible, just like with your implicit modifiers. The min and max ranges for an affix are fixed, but change with the affix tier, higher tiers having higher range of numbers. Therefore, a tier 1 affix will always be worse than a tier 5 of the same type, which you can see here, with this tier 2 affix having a smaller range than its tier 4 counterpart. Later, we'll focus on how to improve the tiers. Most items can only drop with affixes up to tier 5. Exalted items can drop with affix tiers 6 and 7, which can't be crafted directly. When building your character, you want to pay attention to your damage type and the skill type, and find affixes that benefit these while also managing your total health pool and resistance levels. Unique items often have special properties, such as this helmet, which alters the Summon Wolf Companion skill to summon double the amount and turn them into squirrels. Unique items have the purpose of altering your character's skills or playstyle in interesting ways, and can be central to certain builds, like with this squirrel here. Set items have benefits that are locked behind having a certain number of items of the same family name. For example, this set unlocks more benefits as you equip extra items of the same set. Unique items cannot be crafted in the same way as your regular items, and set items cannot be modified by crafting in any way. Legendary items we'll discuss in more detail later, but briefly, these are your super powerful items in the game, and require a unique item with legendary potential, alongside an exalted item with 4 affixes. We'll touch more on this soon. There is another type of unique item that can drop with Weaver's Will, which turns a unique item into a legendary item, simply by equipping it and killing monsters. Items with Weaver's Will consume this will over time to build its power and become legendary, but these upgrades are random in nature and can't be influenced. Legendary items are craft only and can't be found in the world. All items can be traded for if you choose the Merchant's Guild and have the required favour. So to sum up, your items of higher rarities generally have higher tiered affixes, which will on average have better stats and benefit your character. Earlier, I mentioned forging potential, which drops on all item types, excluding unique and set items. Exalted items will generally drop with higher levels of forging potential than magic or rare. This number dictates the amount of crafting that can be done on an item, however it's significantly RNG dependent. When crafting on an item, it will use a random amount of forging potential between the numbers shown here. With the amount of potential used being random, you could be lucky and craft 10 times on one item if it uses a small amount each time, or you could be unlucky and only be able to craft a few times if it rolls poorly and uses a lot of potential. This system has significant highs and significant lows. With its randomness, as top tier items could drop, be only a few crafts away from perfection, and fail to hit that goal, while a basic item could be significantly powered up with good luck. A glyph we'll discuss later on increases your chances of not using potential during each craft, and there is always the chance that your craft will critically succeed, which will be shown on screen here. A critical success on crafting will give you the upgrade to the affix you wanted, and also upgrade another affix at random. Critical successes also refund the materials used, so you won't be using glyphs if you land a critical success. Before we dive into the consumables used in crafting, it's worth mentioning that when you hit a certain point of the campaign, you'll be encouraged to join one of two factions, the Circle of Fortune or the Merchants Guild. If you aren't aware, the Circle of Fortune provides you with significant buffs to your item drops as you go up in reputation. However, you won't be able to trade these items with other players, or use the Bazaar, which is the trade house. The Merchants Guild does not give you bonuses to item drops, but does allow you to trade with others, with high level item trades being locked until you reach the necessary reputation. So let's get into crafting, starting with affix shards. Throughout the game, you'll find affix shards by killing enemies, finding specific shrines with a drop affixes tag, and from rewards for completing echoes in the game, and other activities. This is also the same process for locating glyphs and ruins, however they do not appear in shrines. Affixes are again the modifiers on your gear that give you power. You can also gain affixes by destroying items with a Rune of Shattering, which will return affix shards associated with the affixes on that item. If you find an item with useful or rare affixes, using this rune can be very helpful, as you need affix shards to be able to upgrade and craft your items with those same affixes. For example, if I want to upgrade my strength, I will need the associated shards. If I don't have any, but I find an item with strength and I don't want to use that item, I can break that with a Rune of Shattering to get that strength shard. You can upgrade your affixes at the crafting locations or by simply pressing F. To upgrade affixes on an item, click on the upgrade icon and you'll be shown how much forging potential could be used below. Each upgrade or addition, if the slot is empty, costs a single affix shard and the forging potential. As mentioned earlier, when crafting you can only craft to tier 5 affixes, and a critical success will upgrade your chosen affix and possibly another at random without additional forging cost. A critical success does use an affix shard, so it's important to always keep a healthy supply while crafting. One final note on affixes is that some crafts give you the ability to seal an affix. A sealed affix will be moved out of one of the 4 primary slots and remain on the item, but will no longer be modifiable. I'd like to take this really quick moment to thank you for checking out this video. If you want to support me further, you already know what to do. I'm about 10 subs away from 1k and you guys have made that happen. Thank you very much. Now back to it. That brings us to glyphs. Glyphs are crafting consumables that allow you to augment the way in which your affixes are upgraded. Let's go through them and their use cases, noting that you can only use one glyph at a time. You cannot use multiple glyphs within a single action, but you can use an action and then change a glyph for your next action as long as you have forging potential. The Glyph of Hope is your most basic option and should be used in almost every case you're upgrading an affix if you aren't using another glyph. The Glyph of Hope gives you a 25% chance for your craft to cost no forging potential, essentially giving you a craft 1 in 4 times for free. This is a must use when crafting without another glyph, as it can significantly extend the potential of your item with some luck. The Glyph of Chaos changes the affix you're upgrading into another that can spawn on this item type and uses a shard from the original affix to do so, changing the affix once the upgrade has occurred. So it gives you a random affix in place of what you're upgrading. The example given on the glyph's description is that if you used a fire resistance shard, the craft would upgrade the tier as normal and then shift this into another affix, cold resistance or health as examples. A chaos glyph is great to use when you're trying to target a single affix slot in the hopes of replacing something you don't need, but this is random. You could easily be upgrading into an affix that is equally as pointless to you, but you could hit some lucks and land on an affix that suits your build. The Glyph of Despair is an awesome consumable for later level crafting when you're trying to pull all the value out of an item. This glyph has the chance to seal an affix in place of upgrading it. This will open up the affix slot for another one to be put in its place through crafting and bring the sealed affix to its own slot, which can't be modified further. Items can only have a single sealed affix, so you can't go nuts with this. This glyph is great for when you have an ideal affix roll and want to preserve it while doing other crafts. For example, if you have enough forging potential to add a new affix and upgrade this, or if you plan on taking some more risky crafting measures but absolutely want this affix to be safe. As always, it does consume some forging potential to seal an affix, so it's important to weigh up if you'll have enough to seal this and then complete your next goal. Also worth noting with this glyph, the affix cannot be at max tier 5 or above, as it needs to have the upgrade option to be able to seal it, and this is not guaranteed. The Glyph of Insight requires me to explain another affix type, which is experimental affixes. As you play, you will occasionally find mages locked away in prisons shown here. Releasing and killing the mage will let you an item, either gloves, boots, or belts, that have an experimental affix. These can only be applied to an item either when dropped by the mage or crafted using this glyph. The insight glyph will change a prefix into an experimental affix, which have their own unique flair. This only works on gloves, boots, and belts, where experimental affixes can drop. Experimental affixes have very unique use cases, but can be valuable in the right builds. If you find an item that is perfect, but doesn't have the experimental affix you prefer, you can use this to attempt to place it on. Our final glyph is the glyph of order. For this glyph, we need to understand that each time you upgrade an affix, it will roll a number within its minimum and maximum range. If you have, say, a tier 1 affix with a top roll, this glyph will allow you to upgrade this affix to a tier 2 while maintaining the top roll. Without using this glyph, you could risk upgrading a perfectly rolled tier 1 affix into a poorly rolled tier 2. This glyph can ensure that you keep the same high level and allow you to turn a good item with tier 4 rolls into a great item with tier 5s. Alright, onto runes. These often have more drastic overall effects on an item. Where glyphs target the specific affix in most cases, runes impact everything and in most cases should be used in very specific circumstances. The rune of shattering is a simple one I referenced earlier. This rune will completely destroy an item and give you shards in return. The shards will directly relate to the affixes that were available on that item. This is a great one to use to keep a healthy stock of affix shards, and these runes can be sold by the merchant in the end of time if you run out of them. In the late game, keep an eye out for affixes that suit your build. If you need more health, it would benefit you to collect items with this affix and use runes of shattering to gather the affixes you need to upgrade or add this to your usable items. Some affixes are more rare than others, and if your build needs one of these rare affixes, it's good to keep an eye out for these. The rune of refinement allows you to re-roll all of the values for each affix on the item. If you find yourself with an item that has all of the affixes you want, but they've all rolled near their minimum range, this rune can completely turn that around. Each affix is individually affected by the rune, however, so you're essentially rolling each one at a time and sticking with that outcome, meaning you can go from 4 poor rolls to 4 great rolls, or any mix in between. The rune of removal, this is a very powerful one that can be your best friend or your worst enemy. The rune of removal will at random remove one affix from your item, while also giving you the shards associated with that affix, similar to the shattering, except this doesn't destroy the item. Let's say you have an item with 3 awesome affixes and one you really hate. You could take the risk and use this rune in the hope that you hit the one you don't like, but in this example, you're more likely to lose something you want. This is the time the Glyph of Despair could come in handy to protect one of those affixes. In later echoes, it's possible you could drop an exalted item with 2 affixes. In this instance, you could seal one and use the rune of removal to guarantee the removal of the other affix. There are many use cases for this in many areas, but it'll often be a really big gamble, and you'll need to determine whether it's worth the risk for you. The rune of discovery will add random tier 1 affixes to all empty slots in an item. This does have an increased chance of rolling your rarer affixes, and does not use forging potential, but can't be used on items with 0 forging potential. This is great to use early on in your craft, as it could provide you with really useful affixes to continue to build on. The rune of shaping, this rune allows you to re-roll your implicit modifiers, which are the modifiers specific to that item type and class. Implicit modifiers, like affixes, roll in ranges from high to low. If you have a great item and you're happy with the affixes, but have poor implicit rolls, this can give you a chance to rectify that if you have leftover forging potential. The rune of ascendance is an easy and fun one. This rune changes an item into a unique or set item of the same type. So a helmet will say a helmet, a ring, and so on. This is a no-stress way to try and target farm some unique items if you know what you're looking for. For example, I could use these runes to try and get this helmet of Scurry if I didn't have it. The item stats do not impact on the outcome, so any helmet will do in this situation. So if you find yourself with an item that you have no use for, all you're risking here is the rune to try and land on what you're looking for. Or maybe you just want to have some fun and see what's out there. This rune cannot give you access to drop specific uniques or sets. Some bosses in the game drop uniques that are specific to them, which aren't available through this method. I'm not saying this is a great way to try and find specific uniques, but if you have trash loot and runes sitting around, they only have this one use, so go nuts. The rune of creation duplicates your item, but removes any remaining forging potential. These runes are very rare and valuable. As you can see, I don't have any of them. Runes of creation are great for those in the Merchants Guild who have a really valuable item, but also want to use it themselves, keeping a copy and selling one for the profit. Another use is that characters can equip 2 rings, unless you need a specific one for your build. If you craft the perfect ring, you can always copy it for the other hand. Wait, why do ARPG characters only wear 2 rings? Do they put them on the same hand, or... It doesn't matter. Finally, we have the rune of research. This rune seals an experimental affix onto the item, removing the affix from its slot, allowing you to place a new affix there. This also has the chance to give you a glyph of insight. If you skip to this section, experimental affixes are attached to specific items, which I discussed in the glyph section. Simply, this rune opens up more space in the item to attach new affixes. If you have a number of highly rolled affixes on an item and have leftover potential, it's always worth trying to seal one so you can add just a little bit more power. Now, those of you who've paid attention at the start might notice I haven't mentioned legendary items and crafting. You're onto it. Good catch. Legendary items are your end game grind. They are exceptionally powerful. They are created by fusing a unique item with legendary potential and an exalted item with 4 affixes together. Unique items do not have forging potential like other items and cannot be crafted in the same ways discussed above. Instead, they have legendary potential between 1 and 4. Generally, lower level uniques have a higher likelihood of having up to 4 potential, and you're more likely to get additional potential as you go further into the endgame. An item dropping with 4 potential is very rare, and these will be highly sought after items. Legendary crafting an item with 1 legendary potential means that at random, one of the affixes from the exalted item will be added to the unique permanently, and that legendary potential will be used, meaning the item cannot receive any further crafting. This process destroys the exalted item. I should also mention they must be the same item type, so a helmet to a helmet or a ring to ring and so on. Because the process takes a random affix from the exalted, crafting items can be risky, as you may accidentally get the wrong affix if you only have 1 or 2 legendary potential. The only negative impact here is that you may waste that potential by giving your unique a pointless affix. It's recommended when legendary crafting that you either have all affixes desirable, or that you're prepared to risk it, which could result in you needing to find and craft multiple uniques, which would require multiple uniques with legendary potential and multiple exalted items with the desired affixes. This process can't be undone, but is incredibly rewarding if you land the right affix. The beauty of this system is that a unique with 4 legendary potential is guaranteed to take all of the affixes from the exalted item and become very, very powerful. But it is a gamble and very luck dependent, like many of Last Epoch's crafting systems, if you don't have the full 4 legendary potential. Something to mention is that sealed affixes cannot transfer, so don't try to get slick and put 5 affixes on an item and hope you'll get lucky. In order to legendary craft and fuse these items together, you must complete the Temporal Sanctum dungeon, which will lead you to the ability to craft a single item per run. By placing your unique and exalted items into the crafting device, and using that temple's unique mechanic of changing timelines, you will then be able to swap to the later timeline, which will have the upgraded legendary item for you to take out. The lore here is that the unique item over thousands of years has absorbed the exalted power. Crafting in Last Epoch is a delicate balance of taking luck-based rolls for the chance at higher rewards, while risking turning that item into absolute trash, or taking a measured approach and gently upgrading what you have in front of you for a decent reward. As you get further into the endgame, you'll receive better and better loot, and in an ideal situation, you would drop an exalted with perfect affixes for your build that have hit max range. You could then use the Glyph of Despair to try and seal one, giving you space to add and upgrade another. Similarly, if you get an item with a few good affixes and one that's poor, you can attempt to remove the poor affix while risking losing what rolled and losing forging potential at the same time. This system offers a lot of flexibility for crafting in multiple ways, but it will often be a coin flip of how well it's going to land for you. I have mixed feelings on how much RNG is in this system, but ultimately it's quite robust and offers a wide variety of options that keep you thinking. Comparing this to others in the market, I think Last Epoch hits a nice middle ground of keeping you making meaningful choices without overcomplicating it too much. I'll end this video with a short clip from my stream of me crafting some gloves. This might not be the most efficient way to craft, but showcases some of the processes if you're still unsure. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and come hang out in the comments below, or during my streams, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and occasionally through the week and weekend. See you later. I just turned this into a 39-hour stream. Honestly, probably how much time I'd need to get there. Okay. So we got tier 6 minion damage. That's really fucking good. I hate that we have throwing damage though. I think, okay. So what can we actually do here? Has a chance to seal an affix. Instead of upgrading it, the sealed affix is moved to its own slot, leaving its old slot open. How many? I only have 3 of those. Prevents the roll of an affix with this. Okay. So I can do removal. Removes a random one from the item. I mean, there's more chances there I'm going to remove one I don't want to remove, right? How about, let's try this. Let's try the Glyph of Despair. Has a chance to seal an affix instead of upgrading it. Can I choose which one? Okay. So I'd need it to be upgradable. So you can't seal like the top tier stuff because I can't go Oh, what I can do though, actually, in hindsight. Glyph of Chaos. Modifies the outcome of a craft when upgrading. Randomly changes the upgraded affix to a different one. That can spawn it. Okay, so here we go. This is what we can do. So we have 42 potential. Use a Glyph of Chaos and that will re-roll throwing damage. Okay. Glyph of Chaos. We lost 12 forging potential. That's pretty rough. We got intelligence. We don't fucking want intelligence. So we can only craft a tier 5. So we can only do the Glyph of Chaos one more time and then we're stuck with whatever it gives us. I'll take tier 5 minion health. That's pretty fucking solid actually. I wish I could check. I can. Okay, we got an average roll in the minion health, but that's fine. Our minions are healthy enough anyway. Okay. So you want to take that off. What do we want to apply is the question. Health? That's probably what we want. Health regen, don't care for that. Yeah, okay, you know what? I think we just want health. It's pretty solid. Okay, and then for that we want... Modifies the outcome of a craft when it prevents the roll of an affix within its range changing. No, we don't care about that because we're putting something on for the first time. Yeah, okay, so we just want this, which has the chance to... I might have been able to do it in 39 hours. What to know? Alright, Glyph of Hopes. There's a chance we won't use... We've only got 13 forging potential. And this costs 1 to 18. So this potentially could be the last one we get. Alright, so I'll just go for it. Okay, we lost 2. That's okay. Now we're just looking to keep upgrading. How much health did we have? We have 116 of these, so we're well and truly good. Alright. Okay, it only cost us 1. We got pretty lucky with those. Ooh, that cost us 6, and we got 4 left. Okay, we got 1 left. That actually worked out pretty goddamn perfectly. We got it to tier 5. Unfortunately, we didn't get to upgrade the... Oh, shit. I'm an idiot. The Glyph of Hope preserved it, so we can. That worked out incredibly well. We managed to put minion health over here, so we took off, what was it, throwing damage? We managed to get the elemental resist to tier 5, and we got the health to tier 5, so that ended up being incredibly fucking valuable. And that is just an insane upgrade over what we had. Okay. See, it's that kind of crafting I really like. Like, it was pretty simple. There was a bit of thought that went into it, but nothing too significant. But it's not like Path of Exile where I had to get a fucking wiki open for it.